Let's focus and let's listen with the ears of our hearts, as we say in Turkish. Welcome, everyone. Welcome. Today, we are activating the RX7, the health code. I am Canay Atalay, founder of Regenerative, initiator of the RX codes from the Regenerative Innovation Institute. What is RX codes? If you haven't joined to our previous sessions, it's a living system, 10 regenerative codes from meta code consciousness to intelligence to value code, nourishment, and finally energy, designed to help us build new cultures, new company strategies, and even cities rooted in coherence from inside out and outside in, because they are in the end is the same thing. Each week, we activate one code in conversation with pioneers, practitioners, and path openers, not even finders, from around the world. And in May, from 25th till 31st of May, we are organizing Heart Masters, 6th edition this year in Ibiza, our flagship convergence of visionary innovation leaders, scientists, creators to build a new architecture of life, leadership, and systems. So why innovation? Why regenerative innovation? Let's be honest, something is going on and we don't comprehend what it is. We cannot understand. It is beyond our minds. It is something in the field and it's weird. Everybody is sensing it, but we cannot really put our finger on it. And the way we used to innovate with control, with prediction, with goals and targets is no longer working. We cannot optimize and keep on dominating. It brought us this far, but it is now time to move with life in fields, frequencies, and rhythms. And that's why with RX codes, we are inviting you to tap into a new blueprint, not to dominate or control something outside of yourselves, but to program, to innovate the mind of the innovators. And like today's guest, we will listen more, but it is time to move from Newtonian mechanics to quantum mechanics. Listen to nature, be guided, focus on meaning, and move from domination to resonance. That's why today the health code, our 7th code, is a turning point. So today, I'm so excited. We have Dr. Catherine Clinton with us. Welcome, Catherine. I'm so excited.
Oh, thank you so much for having me here. I am so excited to speak with you and everyone here.
Amazing. Thank you so much for participating. I have been following your work. Today, here, my business partner, also my dear friend Banu, was suggesting, Janai, please, let's do something with Dr. Catherine Clinton. And the interesting thing is, I started dreaming about Dr. Catherine Clinton 2 nights in a row. And she has been speaking to me. And one thing led to another, and I invited her, and she said yes. And you know, things are supposed to happen. This gathering is something like that. And I hope each one of you participating walks out from this gathering with something that really becomes a turning point for your lives and businesses. This is the intention. Catherine, can I introduce you to the people if people don't know you? Can I do that?
Please,
Okay.
please, thank you.
So Dr. Catherine Clinton is a licensed naturopathic physician with over 17 years of experience guiding people through deep, multidimensional healing. Diagnosed with 2 autoimmune conditions and Lyme disease while in medical school, her own healing journey led to a profound realization: true health requires connecting to nature and to our body, to time, rhythm, and community. So activating the relationships that we are evolving with. She holds a doctorate from the National University of Natural Medicine, has published in peer-reviewed journals, and teaches health practitioners around the world how to apply the principles of quantum biology to foster vitality and regeneration. Her work illuminates what most systems miss: that our biology is shaped by light, water, sound, coherence, and relationships. That health is not a silo, it is the foundation of all intelligent systems. And that healing ourselves is the first step to healing the world. Welcome, Dr. Catherine Clinton. It's an honor to have you.
It's an honor to be here. Thank you so much for having me and for doing what you're doing. It's so
Oh.
important right now.
So, Catherine, it is such a new concept, quantum biology. Can you
Mhm.
please start introducing what is quantum biology and why is it important, especially for innovation leaders who are not just taking care of their own health and well-being, but are responsible bringing cultures and systems and innovations forward that inshallah creates cultures of well-being, health and well-being. And actually, what is quantum biology, but also what is health for you? Let's activate the code.
Absolutely. That's a great question. Well, quantum biology is a new emerging field, but it's been around for a long time. It really brings us back to some of that ancient indigenous wisdom that was cast aside. And what quantum biology is doing is it's looking at the smallest pieces of life, a photon of light, electrons, protons, a phonon from sound, and how these very small pieces are impacting life, biology, the human body. And what we're finding is, like you alluded to in your introduction, this Newtonian model of how we have approached life, how we have approached science, has really brought us so far, but there's so much more. And that's where quantum biology comes in. This Newtonian model looks at systems as machines with the various separated parts and gears making up the machine, whereas quantum biology looks at it as an interconnected tapestry where the energy isn't stopping at one gear. It's going throughout the system, going throughout the tapestry, so to speak. And so what we're talking about is we're talking about the flow of electrons, the electrical charge that our cells run on, that our body runs on. It's looking at this idea of coherence and resonance and how our cells are communicating with resonance. They're communicating with electromagnetic frequency. They are really initiating and living in this language of frequency. And we have been living in this Newtonian model, but we are trillions and trillions of cells, and each one of these cells is completing hundreds of thousands, some researchers and scientists put it in the millions, of tasks each second, each cell, and we have trillions of them. So this idea that life runs on chemical reactions, chemical diffusion, like if you were to put dye into a tank of water, we'd have to wait for it to diffuse throughout the tank, or direct chemical and physical action, right? These keys floating around, randomly colliding until they find their receptor, unlocking that receptor, and action happens. Well, we know that part is true, but the randomness is what quantum biology really explains in a whole different way. It's not random. There's this language of frequency, this language of coherence, this language of resonance that is working for our health, working for our communal harmony, whether that is in the workplace, whether that is with our community members that we live with, our families. This really ripples out to every system that we have as humans. It's quite incredible.
Um, so, the reality of life. I am loving, and we have been listening to your content. I think it requires an unconditioning in the way that we are trained to think this is life, this is how our systems work. And I feel quite excited about your work and plugging your work to innovation with our participation, because without even understanding how our bodies work. You talk about how our cells are functioning with that quantum possibilities. We are designing cities, systems that
Mhm.
shape not just the lives of humans and future lives of our future children, but at the same time more than human life without really understanding it's just even the surface of it. So
Mhm.
what we are also observing is that the investment models for future innovation, the like insurance industry, for example, they are now collapsing under the weight of unpredictability, especially with climate, with economies. Everything is so unpredictable. And as
Mhm.
leaders, we are feeling the pressure of it. And now we are trying to estimate the strategic risks, what is coming. But like even futurism as a job is dying because
Mhm.
all scenarios are out there. There are many multiple risks and there are meta crises. So what I'm feeling and sensing and receiving from you, the biggest risk actually is not financial risk. It is not innovation risk with only technology, but maybe it is the risk of not finding that
Yeah,
coherence of life, the biological coherence, this amazing technology that we have inherited and gifted as humans, this intelligent species. So how can we? Because it requires a lot of unfolding and understanding, changing the way we are thinking, even. My question to you, you are talking to so many people in so many places, educating, I don't know, thousands, tens of thousands of people. My question to you, how do you envision that we can treat health and these coherent systems as a foundational infrastructure for not short term, long term innovation? What would be the invitation to the innovation leaders?
absolutely. And I think you sort of hinted to it, right? The reason these systems are collapsing is because they are enmeshed in this Newtonian model. And the Newtonian model is deterministic. If this happens, this will happen. And now we don't function that way. There's unpredictability. And quantum biology works in the realm of probability, right? Like if this happens, here are the probable outcomes. And what coherence tells us is we have an ability to navigate this probability, to bring in probability, and to create likelihood through our own coherence. And coherence is really the idea that two or more things are working as one. Two people dancing the tango, or multiple water molecules in a wave in the ocean, traveling the ocean, right? Individuals, yet working together as one. And that's what brings in that probability into reality. And we know from quantum mechanics and quantum physics and quantum biology that our coherence guides action. And that was one of the things that blew my mind when I was first looking at quantum biology. Like you said, I was diagnosed with some pretty big diagnoses, and I was really sick. And I was looking at psychoneuroimmunology. That's a big word for how our thoughts impact our health. I was looking at mitochondrial function, those little teeny organelles inside of our cells that help us have energy, that help us function. And then I stumbled across some early quantum biology research, and it was looking at how a photon of light gets to a photoreactive center for photosynthesis to happen, right? The basis of life on Earth. And what they found was incredible. They found that this photon takes many paths. It can quantum entangle, it can tunnel, it can go through an obstacle that requires more energy than that particle has. It can go right through it. But the most amazing thing, in my opinion, that they found was that everything in the cell, these proteins, vibrated in coherence and created this vibration that kept that photon of light on the fastest path. They knew and participated in how to get this photon of light to the reaction center so photosynthesis and life could occur. And that knowing is within all of us. Our bodies create a symphony of energy, of frequency, of coherence and resonance that guides actions, biological actions, our health, disease, but also our our reality, our perceptions, our relationships are guided by this coherence. And when we are in that state of coherence, things fall into place. That map of probability that we have can be guided. And so we're looking at a completely different map of how to approach systems work, how to approach innovation. It's not always 1 + 1 will equal this, right? There is this probability, this unpredictability, and we can aid that and guide that with our coherence.
I'm loving this. And in order to tap into really allowing ourselves to be guided by the natural intelligence for all these different possibilities to emerge beyond our probabilistic mind and conditioning, I believe, like when I look at you, I see your joy. I see how much you love sharing information, how excited you get. The level of sharing and receiving information in this field is out of love. And sometimes in companies, we work out of obligation, right? Out of force, and there is a lot of pressure. If mitochondria are coherent sensors, what can they teach us how in organizations, especially the leaders who are creating those cultures and role modeling those cultures, can function under pressure and and allow the field and themselves and the field also create that coherence?
That is a great question. And it really drives to the center of what we're talking about right here, because that coherence that we start with internally is contagious. It ripples through the people around us, our companies, our teams, our systems. And we know this from decades of research. HeartMath Institute has done incredible research with this idea of coherence in the body and how when we have coherence in the body, our body's going to function better. Right? Our immune system is balanced, our nervous system, our ability to navigate stress, our resilience is improved by this coherence. And that coherence, when we are in a state of coherence, it ripples out to the people around us. And this is something, especially in the last 5 years, that I have just been amazed at the division that we're seeing in society. These polarizations that are happening in our communities and our workplaces really provide us with an opportunity to put this coherence to work and be amazed. Once we can practice this practice of coherence, we can drop into that state. We don't have to go through a full heart coherence exercise, right? We become well versed in that state. With a deep breath, we can get into that state of coherence, and then we can navigate these very intense divisions and some would say arguments or tensions in our social lives, in our workplaces. And we can see this happen over and over again. When we come from a state of coherence, it completely changes the dynamic. It doesn't necessarily change the person's opinion, but it changes their relationship with you, with what you're saying. It creates a cohesion. And so these heart coherence exercises are basically just an exercise in authenticity, what it means to be human. We utilize deep breath. We drop into a space where we can be grateful and in awe. The world is pretty incredible if we just take a step back to have that gratitude of whatever it may be, waking up that morning, being able to take a breath, being able to smell the smells around us, hear the sounds, see the sights. We get so inundated with this model of productivity, right? You need to be doing this, you have to produce this. That is your value, is what you can produce. And heart coherence is quite the opposite. Our value comes from participating, being an active observer of this incredible world that we get to experience as humans, and taking a step outside that demand of everyday life and being grateful. I mean, even I use some heart coherence measuring devices that are very sophisticated. Usually you're putting something on the finger or the earlobe. I use an EKG set. So they have those, it's like an EKG monitor, right? And I have seen people who are feeling immense trauma, grief, anger. I've seen this in many of my patients. I've seen this in myself. And if they are letting those feelings flow, if they are being authentic and letting them flow, then their heart coherence is off the map. Really, what coherence is being that idea of dancing the tango with your emotional state, and being able to recognize it, not judge it, let it flow. And on the other side is that gratitude, is that love, is that awe and joy. And these exercises are so incredible. Not only do they improve our health, they improve the coherence of a group working together. They've even done research showing that a group that is coherent together changes the outcome of the greater society they live in. They've done research in New York City, in the States, with crime rates, where they took a group of seasoned meditation practitioners and they had them meditate and increase their coherence, and it lowered the crime rates. And the bigger the group got of meditators, the lower the crime rates got. And the same thing they found in the Middle East in a wartime situation. They had this group of seasoned practitioners who were well versed in meditation and heart coherence. And as they grew, the rates of violence in wartime decreased. And so not only are we seeing the effects of coherence on our own internal health and vitality, we're seeing it immediately with the people around us, right? In this electromagnetic field that extends about 6 feet outside of our body, we can entrain the people around us and influence their coherence to create a work environment that goes smoothly, that is more resilient, more productive, and works together as a cohesive group. But not only that, we can gather with coherent individuals to affect societies that we aren't involved in, right? That we are removed from, but trying to impact this idea of coherence and peace and love. It's absolutely mind-blowing how powerful coherence, our own individual coherence, can be.
Thank you, Catherine. This is so beautiful. And as you were talking, actually, I'm a business model designer, and we have a tendency to seek for metrics. So I love that you talked about heart rate, coherence systems, how you are measuring, how it affects the people coming together, feeling that elevation, better performance, better health. And at the same time, I invite leaders like who are also listening to this conversation. What is the cost of not having coherence? Let's look at also the cost of it. The war, the conflict, even in a board, we also facilitate Socratic dialogues, which creates coherence because people are forced to listen to each other and repeat what the other person said before they start speaking their minds. So without the mind's intervention, the conflict dissolves and you become coherent, brain pair up happens. And we have observed conflicts being resolved in the act of listening, in the act of that coherence. So instead of having 100 meetings of fighting and trying to figure out something with mind, but in other political, agendas in the background, you just come together and you understand. You are here together for a reason, and your differences are actually your richness. So,
Yeah.
Catherine, as I'm listening, by the way, Dr. Catherine Clinton has this amazing Instagram. She has an amazing YouTube channel. And at the same time, she is organizing online courses. Some of them are for free. And I think on May 8th, starting a new course. Would you like to mention a bit about that? Then we continue with my questions.
Sure, absolutely. I love sharing this information, and I really do believe that it helps push our trajectory in the right direction as far as everything we've been talking about here: health, relationships, the workplace environment, and how to create a new structure in our societies. And so I love to hold free workshops where people can explore this information more, and I have a variety of different topics. I love to have shorter courses. I also have a 6-month program, and I last year founded the Quantum Biology Health Institute, and I am just so grateful for how it has unfolded. The scientific board has incredible experts and researchers, scientists. We just launched our first research program, and we're enrolling people to look at the effects of heart coherence, like we're talking about today, on mitochondrial function. And so I'm so excited to look at this. And we're looking at it through a different lens. We're looking at many different parameters of mitochondrial function, even the coherence of mitochondria and their ability to communicate. And does our heart coherence impact that? And of course, I believe we will find that it certainly does. So that's our first research study. And we also have an arm of the Institute that runs a 6-month certification program where we learn all about the pillars of quantum biology: light and sound and frequency and water, and how these things can be applied. And we have an incredible faculty. I'm the lead faculty, but we have Eileen McCusick, who is an incredible sound pioneer in sound healing. We have Dr. Michelle Patrick. We have people all over the world: Dr. Albin Oren doing breath work, Dr. Michelle Patrick doing Chinese medicine. It's just such an incredible program. So I'm so excited to be able to offer that, and just excited about the future of how this will unfold.
My number one signal to really listen to people and follow people is to look at their being. If somebody is joyous, excited, and passionate, I feel this is the resonance that I want to follow. And with you, definitely. And I'm so looking forward to also learning more from your institute. Catherine, I want to talk about technology.
Mm.
Very much like we have stripped ourselves from the environment and put and reduced ourselves in labs and hospitals and in silo thinking, this part, that part, this is the impact and this is the cause. Now we are doing it with artificial intelligence and even comparing ourselves like this is human, this is AI, and we are talking about even future of skills and how to educate our children. Can you please talk about the opportunities with AI for biotechnology and every exciting thing that we can integrate to our innovation modalities, and what to be aware of? What are some of the fallacies, the false thinkings that you would like to inform us so that we are like, aha, this is the assumption and this is not the way forward?
Yes, absolutely. AI holds an incredible opportunity for us. It allows us to work much more efficiently. But I think that the biggest fallacy that we have with AI is that it is other, that it is outside of our human realm. We don't realize that really this AI is that's us. That's our information. When I am researching quantum biology, most of the research comes from people looking at quantum biology in living systems, in human bodies, in animals, in plants, as a model for quantum computing. So they are looking at nature and the brilliance of nature and how to use that as a model for quantum computing, for AI, for technological advances. And I think the biggest fallacy that we have right now with AI is that it is other, that it is separate from nature, that it's separate from us, when in reality, it's getting its blueprint from nature. And I think that I get really excited about what I talk about because I feel a pull. The information I share, I love it. I think it's exciting. And also, I feel that the natural world around me is gently pushing us all to return to relationship. And if we have a genuine relationship with the natural world, with the rising and setting of the sun, with the ground beneath our feet, with nature, then we realize that AI is an incredible tool that we don't have to be afraid of. But we should be mindful that the idea of it being better or other or superior is just another fallacy that goes along in line with all the fallacies that we've really created as humans, that we are other outside of nature, that we are superior to nature. No, we are enmeshed in this amazing web of energy, of information, of intelligence. And AI is a reflection of that. And we can utilize that for tremendous benefit as long as we don't place it in a other category or better than human category. No, it is a reflection of this incredible intelligence that is part of our nature, that is part of the nature, the ecosystem we belong to, this universal intelligence. And so I think that would be the biggest fallacy that I would really warn people about is creating this divide and an elevation of AI when really it is a reflection of our incredible, immense intelligence and energy.
I love it. I think when we don't get to know ourselves, we other everything. The person, the dolphin, the
Mhm,
tree, AI, and we start really
mhm.
separating ourselves, which is the source of misery. And Catherine, I had two burning questions, and at the same time, I'm mindful of the fact that we are a community here. Let me remind you, dear ones, please bring your questions because I want to ask you, with the inspiration of this beautiful conversation, how are you planning to activate health in your innovation, in your companies, in your life? I want to invite you to a 10-minute section towards the end. So please participate, relate. So, Catherine, I see some faces here, amazing people who are leading technology, who are leading businesses, social transitions, economic models in this community right now. knowing that everything is connected and there is quantum entanglement from light to water. Everything is evolving at a speed that is beyond our mental thinking, and our hearts are the bridge to at least to sense into it. And it requires a certain unconditioning, a surrender. And we are in good hands. Nature knows, and life wants to live, love wants to love. So the gratitude is the portal, you said. And at the same time, I'm curious, as leaders, what would be the steps to take on two levels? One, to activate the health and well-being, as you are sharing with coherence, with that resonance in our organizations, in our businesses, in the way that we are guiding our teams and cultures. And at the same time, how can we increase our awareness and responsibility about the way that we are also making an impact from light to sound to the water systems of the world, starting with the places that we operate? What would be the step-by-step process that you can guide us while there is this vast unknown, and how to go through that unconditioning? Please guide us.
Absolutely. When I see my patients, when I have someone in front of me, first of all, I'm creating a safe space to listen to them, but then they walk away with this sort of quantum biology list of things they can do. And I'm kind of in the background, so excited because I know that they approach that list like, okay, I have to do this. I have to go out in the sun in the morning and lower the lights and do this stuff. But I know that that is going to improve their health, of course, but it's going to pull them into that relationship with the world around them. And it's going to give them a sense of belonging and safety that many of us don't have in everyday life. Our world is so chaotic, so unpredictable. Frictions in our relationships, our families, our workplace come up, but the sun rises every morning and has no judgment. The ground beneath our feet is always there to hold us. And so when we can cultivate these relationships, our coherence, our health is improved, and that ripples out. And so what I talk to people a lot about is just that, cultivating those relationships. And I think that the sun is one of the biggest ones. We have been on this earth living with the primary signal coming from the rising and setting of the sun. So if we go out in the morning, so many of us wake up in bed, take that phone first thing in the morning, start hitting notifications and emails, and that's how we start our day. And not only is that information overload sort of stressful for the nervous system, but that light exposure, that artificial light exposure, tells our body that it is noon, that we have to immediately be on this straight up trajectory. And what we really want is to wake up in the morning, have some deep breaths, feel gratitude, and go out in the natural light. When the natural light hits our eyes and goes back to that thin layer of cells in the back of our eye called the retina, it is creating so many different biological cascades. It's balancing our hormones, our cortisol, our sex hormones, our neurotransmitters like serotonin and dopamine that help us feel calm, help us feel motivated and ready for the day. It is balancing our metabolic state. It is a massive driver of our overall health and biology. It was 2017 that 3 researchers were awarded the Nobel Prize for their work in chronobiology. So it's just a big word for how light impacts the body. And what they found is almost every single cell in our body has a circadian clock. So as that light comes in through our eyes, it hits something in the brain called the suprachiasmatic nucleus. That's our master circadian clock. And that sends out an electrical signal to all the other cells, all the other circadian clocks. And when that light is natural light, if I had a spectrometer right now, I am in a room with artificial lights, we would see sort of a narrow band of blue light, not even the full band of blue light that is available to us outside. If I were to step outside my room right now, we would see a full range of ultraviolet light. We would see a full spectrum of visible light. We would see infrared light. We would be inundated with this broad band and spectrum of light. And what that does is so many things, right? It balances our hormones, our metabolic function, our neurotransmitters, our neurological function, and all those circadian clocks. So our cardiovascular function, our respiratory function, our digestive function, detoxification function, and it sets us up for the day and our immune function. I mean, so many different things. And if we can take natural light breaks throughout the day, it reinforces this circadian rhythm. We were meant to be aligned with the sun. And it is such a powerful driver of our health and coherence. And then as the sun lowers at sunset, we are also meant to lower the lights around us. I moved to something like the salt lamp behind me. I actually lower the level of light. So I turn off the overhead lights and move to something that's more hip level, like the setting sun. And what that does is it doesn't block the release of melatonin from the pineal gland. And melatonin is a master antioxidant. It is involved in over 250 biological cascades. So when we have artificial light at night that is rich in those blue tones, that very narrow band of blue, it tells our body that it's noon and we need to keep pumping out these hormones and messages in the body, and we aren't getting prepared for what happens in darkness, the release of melatonin, the production of immune cells, the repair that happens in our neurological system, in our brain, the metabolic pathways that are happening at night. There's so many things that happen in darkness. We need that light, absolutely, and then we need that dark period as well. So wearing blue blocking glasses if we need to be on our screens to work or to maybe enjoy a movie. There are also filters we can use in our screens to stop blue light, to really have a red filter experience when the sun goes down. There's many different ways to do this, but to really entrain our body with the rhythm of the sun has an incredible impact on every system in the body, our nervous system, our ability to regulate and manage stress, our resilience to trauma. And this has a direct impact on how we show up at work. This is a direct impact on our relationship with the people around us and how we influence the people around us and the systems around us. If we are incoherent with that rhythm of the sun, then our nervous system is going to be dysregulated, which makes the work environment and any forward progress really difficult. It's going to set up all kinds of biological issues, blood sugar dysregulation, metabolic issues, diabetes, obesity, neurological dysfunction. Cancer has been associated with artificial light at night. So many different things, right? So just that. And once we do that, and once we start to feel that rhythm pull us into a state of regulation, then we also start to build that relationship of safety that I was talking about. And that rising of the sun, I am so grateful and excited to see the sun each morning. And I just feel held by that. And doing that in a way where we can come in contact with the surface of the earth. The surface of the earth is lined with a sea, really, a sea of free electrons. And those free electrons can help our negative charge. Our cells run on a negative charge somewhere between -40, -90 millivolts, depending on the cell. And if that negative charge is lost, then we see things like pain, inflammation, disease. And so this is something that not a lot of people are talking about, but it is absolutely foundational to health. Our ability to maintain the body's negative electrical charge. And so aligning with the sun, putting our feet, our bare feet, our hands on a tree. There's so many ways to earth or ground, but that alignment with that sea of electrical charge and maintaining our electrical charge is really important. And then if I had to choose one other thing, it would be a practice of heart coherence. And those are sort of the three legs of the stool that maintain our ability to show up the way we want to show up. And there are many different heart coherence exercises on the internet, on YouTube. I have several on my YouTube channel. Basically, what it is taking some deep breaths, slowing our breath to a rhythm that's comfortable, and then dropping into our heart center in the center of our chest. Sometimes I even tell people to place a hand on their chest and just breathe into that area. And then we're thinking of something that brings us joy, brings us awe, brings us a sense of unconditional love. That can be a memory. It can be a future goal, a daydream, something made up, whatever it is that brings us that sense of awe, joy, love, gratitude. That immediately causes this coherence to happen in the body where our heart and that electromagnetic field of the heart entrains with the electromagnetic field of the brain. They become coherent. They are dancing the tango now. And that coherence, that energetic signature ripples throughout the body, and it makes our nervous system more resilient and balanced. It improves our immune system and so many different biological functions. And like we talked about before, it's contagious. It ripples out to the people around us, to the communities around us, to the world around us. Some of the most amazing research that I've seen shows that people who are in coherence can affect the geomagnetic field of the earth. This incredible coherence between our state of coherence and the coherence of the earth that we live on. Just absolutely incredible. But those are my three favorite things. There's so many things, but I think those three are such a beautiful place to start building that coherence, building that health within ourselves and within our communities and relationships.
Wow. I think this is a very good recipe for health and well-being. And in my experience, when people start experiencing it themselves, they start bringing it forward in their own ways, in their own creative expressions. When you know the importance of light in this embodied level, then let's say if you are the designer of Zoom, then you will be aware what you're creating through these screens. So let's follow the three legs that Dr. Catherine Clinton guided us. And I invite you to find your own expressions of innovation to bring it forward. How you can invite your teams, your clients, your business partners, how you can redesign, reimagine your headquarters, your home, your city designs, the way that you are bringing these cultures forward. I love that. Thank you so much, Catherine. We have a question from Renee. Rene says after 3 decades of teaching and training individuals in body language techniques can be used to direct the conversation. Is there a technique in heart coherence that we can add to body language techniques? You mentioned about the breathing, the gratitude, and he asked this before you start telling about this. Is there anything you would like to add?
Yes, I would just like to add that the beautiful thing about heart coherence is we have this electromagnetic field that emanates from the heart. Our heart has the biggest electromagnetic field of the body, 100 times bigger than that of the brain. Sometimes people put it at 1,000 times bigger. It is immense. It can be measured up to 6 feet away from us. And what we now know is that our cells communicate with electromagnetic fields. They guide cell behavior, cell movement, differentiation, how a cell becomes an ear or an elbow. So, heart coherence, when we're in a state of heart coherence, our body language is a physical indicator that, like you said, can guide interactions and help direct them. Our heart coherence does that energetically. It does that through electromagnetic fields. And that state of coherence and relaxation and rational thought, because the heart entrains the brain as well. So I think they make an incredible pair. And I think that's wonderful work that you're doing. That sounds amazing.
Thank you, Catherine. I have one burning question. Talking about all this coherence and how we are actually influencing the field and being influenced and shaped by the field. Um, Water, you talk amazingly about water, conditions of water. I would like to hear a little bit about it. And my question is, recently, recent mass gatherings of whale pods, we see them. They are gathering and in the coasts of California and British Columbia, and it is named as like extraordinary ecological and energetic events. What does it mean? Like if you have some visions or ideas or a knowledge about it, both scientifically and symbolically, especially in the context of water coherence and planetary health and our unity as interspecies.
Oh, that's a beautiful question. That's beautiful. So, coherence, when we're talking about what's happening with water, there is something beautiful happening with water, and it's happening in a glass of water. It's happening in a body of water like the ocean. It's happening within our own bodies. And what happens when we look at our own bodies, there is water that, I mean, we're 70% water by weight. And if you look at us molecularly, so if we counted all the molecules in the body, over 98% are water molecules because the water molecule is so small. We're mostly water. And as this water comes up against a surface in the body, whether that's fascia, whether that's an organ, whether that's a cell membrane, our DNA inside of the cell, all of these things are water loving. They don't repel water away, they allow it to come up to the surface. And when that happens, something amazing happens. That water changes structure. It turns into something that's gel-like, viscous. It's called exclusion zone water. It's called liquid crystal water, interfacial water, cell-bound water. But what happens is that water turns into this liquid crystal, and it takes on a lattice shape. And as one sheet of it is formed against a hydrophilic surface like a cell membrane, it acts as a template for more sheets to form. And this water is negatively charged, and it builds, it grows in the presence of infrared energy. And what is the biggest source of infrared energy in our solar system? It is the sun. And getting outside even in the shade, anytime the sun is up, even if it's not directly on us, because we do want to be careful about sun damage, but even if we're in the shade, we are completely enveloped in infrared energy. Where else do we get infrared energy? Movement. One of my favorite ways to get infrared energy is snuggling. Putting a blanket over myself and my loved one, my child, a pet, my dog, and snuggling. Warm baths, saunas, all of these things create infrared energy that build this negatively charged water. And we talk about how our cells run on a negative electrical charge. When they lose that, we see associations with immune issues, we see associations with cancer, we see associations with pain and inflammation. So it's really important. But also, something else happens as this water builds, as this liquid crystal cell-bound water builds in the body. It kicks out a positively charged hydrogen or a proton. And it creates what researchers are calling a proton wire or a proton-rich zone. So now all of a sudden, not only do we have this negatively charged water, we have a separation of charge in the water from that negatively charged water and the positively charged water that forms right outside of it. So just like the separation of charge we see in a 9-volt battery, we have a water battery inside of us. So we have this negatively charged water, which is so important for the health and function of our cells. Then we have this water battery within us. And as if we needed more amazing things to happen, there are amazing things. One more incredible thing that happens is this liquid crystal water is able to capture and store and transmit frequency information. So electrical fields, infrared light, visible light, ultraviolet light, sound, all of the things like that are captured by this liquid crystal water. They can be stored, but they can also be transmitted in this water network throughout the body via resonance, almost instantaneously. These electrons that can be captured by this liquid crystal water, they don't have to physically travel to another part of the body. They can do that. There's something called the Forster effect, which allows these electrons to almost instantaneously go throughout the body and donate energy. There's a way to look at the body as a energetic being, and any decrease in electrons or electrical charge is associated with disease. And these cells are acting, we can kind of see that similar pattern happening in the water, in the oceans with these whales. And what it really brings to mind to me is that sound is pressure waves that travel through a medium. And as the pressure waves move, they create inelastic collisions of the molecules around them, which create light. So when a whale is creating that beautiful whale song, they are creating a sound signature, they are creating a light signature, and they are doing it in this medium of water that can be transmitted throughout the oceans. And what I think is happening with these things that we've been seeing for the last few years, right? These whales coming together and creating this collective transmission. I think that, just like I was talking about before, I think that is nature calling us back. I think nature is tired of being in this relationship where we go and extract things and we go and exploit things and we go and we look at the whales and we don't enter into relationship. I think nature desperately wants us in relationship, as desperate as we want it to. It wants to be seen, it wants to be returned to, it wants to be held just like it can hold us. And so I think we are seeing this incredible call with the whales through their sound signatures, through their light signatures. And to me, it's just an incredible example of the times that we're living in.
I'm so grateful to you, Catherine. This was such an amazing satisfaction to listen to you, to be guided by you. Thank you. It is so humbling to receive the intelligence of nature with such great passion and love through an expert like yourself.
Mm-hmm.
I hope everybody is inspired and remember the 3 legs. Today we explored more than personal health and well-being. Today was a signature session about the blueprint for regenerative innovation, how everything magnificently is coming together for us to receive, to relate, to be open, to be grateful, to not just see the patterns, but be a part of, join the game of life. If life can regenerate, so we can regenerate our systems, our business models, our technologies. Health, as you see, doesn't belong to just hospitals or some departments or some HR strategies. It is the operating system, it's the inspiration of everything we can build. So let's lead and innovate from the frequency of life. Let's join our forces like the pods of whales, create that light by being together. And if you want to go deeper into quantum biology, coherence, healing, please follow Dr. Catherine Clinton's incredible courses and community. If you want to experiment, be together, join us in Ibiza in Heart Masters in the end of May. Also, we are going to continue with our next 2 sessions, the RX sessions next week. After this, it's going to be amazing. The design code we are activating, and the final one will be the energy code. We will carry your inspiration, dear Dr. Catherine Clinton. Thank you so much for being here. And thank you, everyone, for participating. Please spread the good word by being the examples yourselves. Let's rise tomorrow with the sun. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. This was amazing.
Thank you,
Take
everyone.
care, everyone. Thank you for participating.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, everyone.